Can you grab me a drink? Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. We are doing the pre-general conference live stream. I realize that today is Thursday, but this is when we're going to do it. If you're watching this and it's not live, if you catch the stream later, consider hitting the notification bell, because if you do that, it'll inform you when I'm about to go live. Usually I give it about, something between like 10 to 15 minutes before I do, so that you can have a little heads up. So anyway, I have no sort of live stream schedule, really. I just do it whenever, because that's how I roll. I just do things whenever, with the exception of general conference, because I do plan on doing what I've done. I've already done it 2 times now, I think. Right? Yeah, I started in August. So I did October and April. Yeah. So I plan on doing the live streams after each session during general conference, so that we can talk about things that we noticed after each session. So if you want to join in for that, I will be here most likely, unless it gets to be too much for me, but I did it okay the last couple times, so I'm sure this will be the same this time. Excuse me. I'm excited to talk about this one because, I don't know, I think things might happen. Let's see, we got 40 people here in the chat. Let me read some chat. The Greatest Cause is here. That's Tyler Cragen with the Greatest Cause channel. Please make sure to subscribe to him. He says, I'm so excited for this conference. Jamie Ackroyd is from the UK. Welcome. I wish I knew exactly how many people from the UK in different places are watching, but I'm not sure if I recognize Jamie Ackroyd. Okay. What's up? Jessup says, checking in from Missouri. Happy to have caught the group live for the first time. Yep. Like I said, just hit the notification bell and you'll probably catch more in the future. And then Jamie Ackroyd says, this conference is going to be epic and historic for sure. Bob D says, our family is really looking forward to General Conference. I wonder if they'll mention the modular temples, maybe one in Independence, Missouri. Maybe. It's got to happen at some point. At some point, things have got to start happening in Jackson County, right? And I've discussed that possibility on the channel many times. We already have a temple there, essentially, already built. One of the temples of the 24 temple complex. How hard does it have to be in order for the church to say, okay, now's the time. It's no longer going to be a visitor center. It's going to be a temple. I don't know. Bob D's from Meridian, Idaho. Down Vlogs is from Calgary, Alberta. Welcome. NORAD from Sandy, Utah. Mary is praying 3 times. Janet McCrillis. Hi, everyone from Northern Ireland. Hey, that's the UK also. But I'm hoping that there's going to be an Irish temple. I talked to Thomas Holton. If you didn't catch it, I did an interview with an LDS author from Ireland. He had a close call with death. I wouldn't say that it was like a near-death experience where he left his body, but I talked to him recently, just a few weeks ago. I'm still in the process of reading his book. Go check him out. He's hoping for an Irish temple as well. Of course, Carrie Brown, hi from Lehi, Utah. Hello. I dated a girl from there. Valerie B. Mine. Valerie Balmforth Shelley, Idaho. Amazon Warriors from Utah. Dove Hart. Tyson Price. Hi from Sandy, Utah, about 10 miles south of downtown Salt Lake City. You don't need to tell me, Tyson. I know where it's from, where it's at. I don't know if you're new to the channel. I'm from Murray originally. Spill on myself. Aaron Pena or Pena. Did you see the email from the church that said, hear him at General Conference? Made me think immediately that we could have a conference one day where Jesus is actually speaking. Yes. Well, that would be quite amazing. We're going to have Adam on Diamond at some point, if it hasn't already started, at least like the first sessions. Pahichens says hello from Langmum, Wales, UK. Hello. I have a lot of ancestry from Wales, a lot. The majority are from Wales and England. Dana Stenderson, San Clemente, so happy you're doing this. Joni, the Joyous Genealogist, another one of the people that I've interviewed, and she has her own channel, is here. Make sure to subscribe to her. If you don't know, on my... let me switch here. I know I bring this up all the time, but I want to really promote these other channels. And if you go to the home screen of my channel, and you go to channels right here, it'll show everybody that I'm promoting. The vast majority of these people I've actually interviewed. I'm actually going to be doing one with Mindy tomorrow. She was saying that she was feeling the spirit pretty strong, and she wanted to do a joint video, and we're going to do it tomorrow. We're going to do it on, well, about the importance of listening to the living prophet, and not just staying stuck in the ways of the past, because we have a living church with a living prophet. And one of the benefits of having a prophet is that the church is not just static. It doesn't stay the same. Like, the core doctrine of the church will always be the same, but the church does change according to our circumstances to best suit our needs, what Heavenly Father wants for us. And so if you were to go back to Book of Mormon times, you wouldn't go to church and then see people wearing white shirts and ties. It'd look a lot different. And even within the Book of Mormon itself, it would look different from after the time that Christ came to before the time Christ came. The church changes through time. And generally speaking, it's just been kind of like adding line upon line, precept upon precept, until the point that we're at right now. We know that the restoration is ongoing. That's one of the big things that President Nelson has been hitting on since he's been president, that there's more to be restored. Okay. So me and Mindy are going to be doing a video about that. But anyway, just make sure to subscribe to all these different channels. This one's Mindy. Let's see. Here's Joni right here. Joni, the Joyous Genealogist. And then Tyler Cragen is down here, The Greatest Cause. Okay. Make sure to subscribe. I'll put their channels. My eye is itching. I'll put their channels down in the description below so you can find it easier. Just want to show you, this is one of our first eggs that we've gotten since we restarted our flock. If you've been watching, and it's small. I don't know if you can like really tell, but it's it's small. It's because these hens are just starting to lay. We had to do a great reset with our flock because we were having some issues with chickens getting outside of the electric fence, which for a long time they stayed in it, but then it just like became a snowball situation where one got out and then he was a bad influence on the others, and then they were all just getting out. And we've actually rearranged the homestead. I'm going to do a video out there sometime within the next few days to kind of show you how we've rearranged things. We have the chickens in a different area and whatever. Okay, so tomorrow, or not tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, Saturday, that's going to be the first day of General Conference. I'd like to hear, what do you guys expect to see? What do you think the main themes are going to be? Last time that we did this for last General Conference, when they started talking about missionary work and doing this big call-up of missionaries, I wasn't expecting that at all. I can't remember exactly what I was expecting, but I was not expecting that. So what do you expect to see this conference? I've already mentioned this on the channel, but this recent worldwide young adult devotional by Elder Renlund and his wife, I thought was pretty amazing, because the main theme of their devotional was that the church is continuing to be restored, and giving a lot of specific examples of how new things are brought into the church or brought back to the church, how the church goes through phases, right? Not everything is just like dumped on us all at the same time, that a lot of times revelation will come through and be implemented in phases, right? He brought up when the last section of the Doctrine and Covenants was added, he told that story. And so with all those examples and with such close proximity to General Conference, I have to wonder, could they be getting us ready for this conference? Maybe something new is going to come up. We've already seen like a big flurry of changes, starting with when President Nelson became prophet, right? So many things have changed, going from 3-hour to 2-hour church, being done with the Boy Scouts of America, the changing of the priesthood quorums, where high priest no longer meets separately. Now it's just one big elders quorum, and which is supposed to be modeled after the Relief Society. That was a huge change. Age requirements for, or changing of age for when the youth start going to young men's and young women's and stuff like that. Just so many changes. There's a big long list of changes. So I feel like there's maybe been a little bit of a lull since the last big changes. I don't know. But I'm just interested to see what's going to happen. Does anybody have any guesses? Bob D was thinking maybe they'll talk or touch on the idea of modular temples. Now, this is something that has already been started. I can't remember exactly what temple it was. I think it was a Montana temple. That was like the first of these like modular temples. So that's already underway. I don't know if they would announce like even smaller modular temples so that temples can be built in more areas, such as Ireland and places like that. Let me see what's going on in the chat. So let's see. Okay, after Joni, we got Amanda Bowles. Hello from Layton, Utah. Hello. I almost bought a house there. Thankfully for us, we didn't, because that would have messed our lives up, but I'm glad that it's working out for you. SH, hi from San Jose, California. Hello. Jamie Ackroyd, hey man, first live I've been on and came across your channel today and watched some of your channel. Awesome. Well, that's perfect. Joni is from the, she says Kansas City is in the house. Yeah, she's in the Kansas City area. Lucky. Janet McCrellis, me too. Smiley face. Cecilia Hitch, Iowa, says hello. I'm glad Iowa's here. Midwest. We got a lot of Midwestern and West Coast people. Okay. Tyson Price, I have General Conference tickets for Saturday afternoon session, Saturday evening session, and Sunday morning session. My foot has been hurting this week. Pray and fast for my foot. I will. I definitely will. I've only been to a few myself. I was there for the first priesthood session in the conference center, and I that's something I'll never forget. The conference center is amazing. It's really big. Like, if you haven't been there, put a Y in the chat if you've been to the conference center, and put an N if you have not. Colby Kelly, hi from Lehi, Utah as well. Okay, so we have 2 Lehiites. Aaron Dixon, hi from Conway, okay. I was like Conway, Kansas, because there's a place called Conway Springs that's kind of close to me. Hi from Conway, Arkansas. I'm literally driving to Memphis for the evening session at the temple. Oh, cool. Well, have a good session. Trevor Stevens, hello from West Bountiful, Utah. Been listening a while, but first live. Awesome. Glad that you made it. It would be so awesome to be able to attend conference live. All who is going, enjoy. I'm so delighted for you all. Then it skipped down. Okay, we got like a bunch of yeses. Tyler Cragen. There's a no for Tyler, and he lives down there. Sorry, Tyler, you're in Orem, right? You need to go. You really need to go check it out. Even if it's just to do a tour, just like go there and see it. It's awesome. Okay. Amanda Bull says, expect the unexpected. Tyson Price, I got to sing in General Conference in April 2009 in the Saturday afternoon session, and in April 2012, the priesthood session. I have a feeling that the theme will be for us to be kind and loving. Okay, so like that the theme will be, because like when we're talking about being kind and loving, nowadays, it seems like that's framed as being a Zion people. That's not a new concept, but they've really, really been stressing being a Zion people within the last few years. I've mentioned this on the channel many times, how you've always had the threefold mission of the church. Okay. This is what I learned as I was growing up. You have preach the gospel, perfect the saints, redeem the dead. Those are the three things. And it's still the same, but now it's being phrased as gather scattered Israel on both sides of the veil. And then as far as perfect the saints, become a Zion people. So it's still the same, but it's like it's been reframed. I don't know the last time that I've heard preach the gospel, perfect the saints, and redeem the dead. So that's kind of interesting. Sherry Johnson from McKinney, Texas, but next month moving to North Carolina. Oh, cool. You'll be over there by Rachel. Rachel is this girl right here, LDS Women in Priesthood. Her channel is doing really good. She's up to 3,190 subscribers. She has a good channel. She's good. They're all good, but she's doing really good. Okay. Aaron Pena says, are we getting the new hymn book yet? Yeah, good question. I have no idea what's going on with that. I haven't seen anything in the church news that even like hints to that, but that's got to happen at some point. They mentioned it at least a couple of years ago. When are we going to see that? Green Tree is here. Hello. Pagan West, hello from Show Low, Arizona. I hope something big. I love big announcements. We all do. We all love them. I feel like that wouldn't have been the theme of the worldwide devotional if something like bigger in scale or in size was going to happen, you know? So I don't know. All I know is that the world just keeps getting crazier and crazier and crazier. So more things have to happen. Like I said, at some point, the church has to have a greater presence in Jackson County, Missouri. It has to happen at some time, right? So what does that, the year that it's announced, okay? So the Independence Visitor Center, the year that they announce that they're going to renovate it and turn it into a temple, what's that year supposed to look like? Is it going to come out of the blue? Is it going to be something that everyone's like, oh yeah, there's been a lot of chat about this. Like, what is it supposed to look like? But it has to happen at some point, right? Same thing with Adam on Diamond. I wouldn't imagine that they would really talk about that in general conference, but we're getting to a point where things have to happen, and a lot of things are happening. Trevor Stevens, I'd love to see some new revelation or new scripture, but I'm not the best scriptorian anyway, so maybe I haven't proven I'd appreciate it fully anyway. Haha. Well, that's the same thing. You know, at some point we're going to get the scriptures from the 10 lost tribes. There's the two divisions. You have the people that believe that the living people will have their scriptures and hand it to us. And then there's the other way, kind of like what President Oaks was talking about, how they can come forth like the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's got to happen at some point. At some point, the Book of Mormon, the sealed portion of the Book of Mormon has to be translated. You know, are we going to have any new additions to the Doctrine and Covenants? You know, that's not beyond the realm of possibility. So, yeah, we'll see. What's up, Jessup? Says, definitely expecting some streamlining / fine-tuning of temple worship and more calls to serve and to go to the temple. Millennial work. Yeah, they talked about that. I think that we were looking at that recently, how they were talking about how I think to expect more changes in the temple. So Louisiana Swamp, I wish they could build much smaller temples, even in the United States. And that's a possibility. That's a possibility. Tyson Price, the new hymn book will become available in 2024 at the earliest. Okay. Clayton Ashcraft, family history ramped up, more projection from the craziness coming and new revelations or church history documents coming. Arcane is saying hi from Oregon, and it's finally raining in Oregon. Yay. and then a bunch of yeses, only a couple no's to having been to the conference center. Okay, one thing that I wanted to do, because once all the talks are available on the church website, I'm going to update my tracker. And let's just do a quick review of what we have going on the tracker. Okay, let's zoom in. How about we zoom in? Okay, so ongoing restoration. Okay, so this one right here, this column is specifically ongoing restoration, the phrase ongoing restoration. This one is ongoing whatever, but I wanted to keep count of it. So we haven't heard any of that really so far this year, so we'll be looking for that, obviously, but you can see that it's pretty dramatic. The talk about ongoing restoration. Let me make sure that, okay, I switched screens. Okay. Continuing restoration was said this year. Back in 2020, it was mentioned 3 times. Restitution of all things, 3 times in 2020. Restoration of all things, 2 times in 2020. So I get the sense that there's going to be more restoration and continuing restoration and restitution and all that stuff. So could we be seeing some of that this conference? I don't know. This is his church. Now, this is interesting because that phrase has taken off since 2016. Okay, with a peak in 2018 and in 2019. So far, it's been said 2 times this year. Hastening and hasten. Those have taken off since 2013. Okay. Hasten was used only 1 time this year. We'll see if that comes up this conference. So these are some of the key phrases I think that we should look for. Invite you. That has taken off since probably, well, let's go back in time. So for invite you, I'd say it's probably taken off since 2009, but really in earnest starting in 2017. 2017 to 2021 is really dark, with a peak in 2018 or in 2020. So we're already up to 7 times for 2022. You go back in time and you get a lot lighter colors. So there's a lot of inviting going on, going back to maybe 2013 if you're looking at just like the solid darks. Second coming. There was a spike of second coming in 2020. So far, it's been said 4 times this year. From 2018 to 2021, we're in the dark red. Okay, so we're already halfway there to get to 8. If second coming is said, if there's like 4 more talks where second coming is said. And that's pretty dramatic. Again, the only time that you see dark colors for that is you have to go back to the 70s. 1974 with 8 times. 1958 with 9 times. But the record holder is 2020 with a total of 12 times. Second coming. Plead with you. Go back in time, a lot of light colors, even in the 70s. And then it gets kind of dark starting 2008 and onward. And then just a pretty solid red during President Nelson's time in 2018. Covenant Path. Now, this one, you go back in time, it hasn't really been said. This is kind of like, I think, a newer phrase, but the first time it did show up was in 2007. And then it started to really pick up in 2013 during President Monson's time. But then when President Nelson became president of the church, it shot way up. And they keep talking about how this is where you find protection. Yes, still have a food storage. Yes, still have 72-hour kits. You do all those things. You don't need to go to extremes. You don't need to go into debt. Do those things, but the future is bright. There's a lot of hope. That's all that they talk about is hope and a bright future. in faith and things like that. And but that protection comes in your from living inside your covenants, right? Okay, prepare the world. Prepare the world doesn't come up very often when you go back in time. Okay, you have 3 times in 1974, so that's the spike, right? And you don't see anything like that again until just the last few years for prepare the world, with a peak of 7 in 2020. That's pretty stunning. I'm actually surprised that we didn't see it in the April General Conference. We've talked about what are the implications of that. Like, are we done preparing the world? Well, no, obviously we're going to keep going until the second coming. And during that conference, I'd say preparing the world is sending out missionaries, but they didn't use that phrase in April 2022 General Conference. Okay, Lord's Youth Battalion. That's a President Nelson concept, and it's been said every single year except for 2020, which is odd because with all these different terms, you can always be guaranteed that it's going to show up during 2020, if no other year. But anyway, it's already been used 2 times this year. Okay. Your spiritual foundation. That's just gone up steadily since 2019. 1, 2, 3. And then this year, it's already been said 4 times. Spiritual foundation. Go back in time. Only ever mentioned once, maybe twice at the most. 4 times. 4 times already in 2022. So watch out for that. Watch out for that term. Really quick, let me let me check the chat. Sorry, I'm gonna have to probably skip down past some of your comments so I kind of keep up to date with or keep up with the chat. Denise Blackmore, hi from Australia, loving your channel. Awesome, thank you. Trevor Stevens, for some reason I feel like I've been receiving a flood of personal revelation this year. I'm not sure if it's just this year. Look for more revelation, or because I started my own business, or what. Well, I'll tell you what. This is kind of personal, but it's not like inappropriate to share. Like, me and my wife, we've been having a lot of dreams, especially within the last few months. A lot of like dreams that have felt like revelation, things having to do with family, things having to do with deceased loved ones and things like that. Nothing like really crazy, but I feel like there's been like an uptick in dreams for me and my wife. So I don't know. Susan Wellentine, Mississippi doesn't have a temple. Let's pray for that. Yeah, Mississippi is one of the few states that doesn't have a temple. Kansas was in that club. I guess it still is in that club until the Wichita temple gets built. Mary has not been to the conference center. Bob D. I wish the general authorities would say things that would shock the All in Zion Well Club within the church. There are so many fence sitters, including some of my family. Well, the thing about it, though, I'm not so sure that something big would really affect them. Because like the problem is like deeper than that. It like goes to the core of who somebody is. It's just like Laman and Lemuel, who literally saw an angel, but they still lived the way that they lived after. It's like it didn't even affect them, right? That's like one of the big lessons everybody knows from the Book of Mormon, is that not even miracles will convince some people. There are good people that are kind of like in the fog. They're maybe too distracted. So yeah, maybe there's hope for those people that are just, they're good, but they're too distracted with things of the world, but they're not like hard at heart. You know what I mean? They've just been distracted. So yeah, maybe. This is one of the reasons why I tend not to think that the events leading up to the second coming are going to be so dramatic. Like, sorry, I don't mean to keep going off on this subject, but like the 10 lost tribes, I talked about it with Jacob. Jacob, I can't remember his last name. or if I even knew his last name. Jacob from By Way of Commandment. This guy right here. We were talking about how if things play out in a very obvious way, like the 10 tribes appear out of nowhere, or even moving church headquarters to Independence. Well, not so much that. No, miraculous things like the 10 tribes, that it would take away a lot of the faith that's necessary leading up to the second coming, as far as like having your faith tested and seeing whose side are you really going to choose, because that's the reason why the gold plates were taken away, so that we wouldn't have proof and people wouldn't be part of the church based on proof, right? So I don't know, who knows. Okay, but yeah, the All Is Well in Zion Club, they are something else. Louisiana Swamp, oh goodness, Mississippi really, really needs a temple for sure. I bet you have to travel a long way. SH, I'm guessing a whole lot of new temples announced. Yeah, that's what I keep hearing from a lot of different people, including Mindy, who I'm going to be doing a video with tomorrow. I think it was her that said that they want to announce 50 for 2023. And then I've heard rumors from multiple sources talking about wanting to have temples number in the thousands, which that would be something else, because right now, let's go to chronological list of LDS temples. I want to go to the Wikipedia article. Here it is. So let's see. Announced. So as of right now, total temples between announced, under construction, already operating, 282. So, that's only 28% of the way there to 1,000. And talking about temples in the thousands, I've heard numbers like 2,000, things like that. I know President Nelson wants to have temples within an hour. Like he doesn't want anybody to have to drive more than an hour to get to a temple. That is pretty ambitious, but with like really small temples, just like how we have stake centers. I don't know. Maybe they can do it. I mean, whatever. The Lord can do anything. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Let's see. Agony of agonies. If President Nelson doesn't announce Adam Mondiaman, I hope you won't be too disappointed, Jared. No, I won't, because I don't think it will be announced in General Conference. I don't. And I don't know, with all this stuff pointing to Rosh Hashanah, this last Rosh Hashanah, the last couple days, it still could be very significant, and all those things could be pointing to this General Conference. If you think about it, you have the Rosh Hashanah, and then a few days later we have General Conference this year, and that happens from time to time. I'm sure that General Conference has been on Rosh Hashanah, but those things could be pointing to just what's going to be announced this General Conference. I'm not promising anything, obviously. I'm not in no position to do that, but that's why there's been all those different signs, kind of starting with the meteor over Utah. Joni says, I'm hoping for another temple here around Kansas City, hopefully in Jackson County, with a big teeth smiley face. I hope so too. It seems like, okay, so when we think about that scenario of building a temple in Independence, Missouri, there's the one position where what's going to happen is that there's going to be mass devastation. Kansas City is going to be wiped out, the Kansas City metro area, which includes Independence. And then that's going to be how we're able to reclaim the land and stuff like that. It may involve the 10 lost tribes coming back from someplace. That I don't really hold to that view. So I'm not going to say that's not possible, but I don't think it's going to happen that way. If it happens the more natural way, Like I said, what are things going to look like in the lead up to that? What does that year look like? How much longer do we have to go before that announcement is made? You know, whether it be starting to move church headquarters to Independence, or whether it be dedicating that visitor center as a temple and renovating it. How much longer? Like, everyone knows, everyone feels like we're getting to the end. President Nelson said that we're in the bottom of the ninth inning. So at what point, because we know that that's one thing that does have to happen before Christ comes. You know, and I would imagine that it would probably start with the temple, with the visitor center turning into a temple, you know, and then I don't know. We'll just see. Okay, Joy Spraycar says, I feel that we're receiving more personal revelation. I wonder if something will be said that only those who can hear him will catch the true meaning of. What do you think? Yeah, well, I think so. I think that that's already happening. You know, I would venture a guess that most of you are those people that are awake. You're receiving personal revelation. You know when and what time that we're living in. And so I think that is just part of that, you know. Yeah. Denise Blackmore, I wonder what would change if President Nelson said that the Lord would come in 5 years, like Samuel the Lamanite said to the Nephites. Well, everybody would lose their minds. That would be headline news, because all the major news outlets would be like, oh, Mormon prophet says that second coming is 5 years away. I don't think that would happen, though. I don't. I do believe that he can know when it's going to happen based off of Joseph Smith's statement that the Lord's not going to do anything until he reveals it to his servants, the prophet. But as far as him relaying that to us, like a day, an hour, I don't think that he would do that. But I think that he's been doing everything but telling us when it's going to happen. Like, how more explicit can you be than telling us that we're in the bottom of the ninth inning, and then back in 2019 saying that time is running out, and all the other things that we've heard him say? The church is at a hinge point. So I think he's telling us everything but that it's just around the corner. Let's see. Byro Kinsman, glad to finally see a live stream live. Shalom from Idaho Falls. Shalom. The greatest cause. I've been having a lot of personal experiences / visions / dreams in the last year too. What's up, Jessup? Oh, Dennis, that is an interesting thought. Imagine how many people would doubt that and mock the church for such a specific and daring prophecy. Even a lot of the All Is Well in Zion members. Glenda Wheeler, yes. Hi from Salt Lake City. Hi, Glenda. Vinyl SP. First impression as I walked up to the conference center the weekend before 9/11 was, this building is invisible from the air. Really? Oh, just because like the garden on top. Lois Leonard, I have family that said they won't believe anything unless the prophet comes out and says something, but when he does, they refuse to see it. Yeah, it's a deeper problem that those kind of people have. It's a deeper problem. You think about it. Christ in the New Testament, okay, in plain English, he told us to watch for the signs and to watch so that we're not taken by surprise. We are the children of light, but the children of darkness that have no light, it's going to be for them a thief in the night. We're supposed to be watching for the things, and there's plenty of things. Even if you're not a member of the church, you just look at the world and you look at all the natural disasters that are happening, and they are in fact getting worse. They are. In fact, this hurricane in Ian, or this hurricane in Florida, Hurricane Ian, I just saw something that said that, let's see, Ian, deadliest hurricane, that they're expecting it to be the deadliest hurricane. Um, they don't know yet because we're still in the middle. Let's see, Hurricane Ian live updates. Ian might be the deadliest in Florida history, Biden says. Biden warns of substantial loss of life as storm strengthens back into a hurricane, which is crazy because that's not what the forecast was before. Let's look at Zoom Earth. Okay, so now the eye of the storm is in the Atlantic. So right here in the red, it was a category 4, and then it went to category 1. And then it became a tropical storm. And as of right now, it is a category 1 again, which I find that pretty stunning. But I wanted to show you something. I cover this stuff on the other channel, Watch for the Signs. If you go here, it's this one right here, Watch for the Signs. I have this tracker that I'm keeping, and for all the hurricanes / typhoons / cyclones / big storms, there's this Wikipedia site that puts them all together. And I went through and color coded it according to the Saffir-Simpson scale, where that we use here in the United States for like category 1 through 5 hurricanes, so that I can compare all the storms throughout the world and compare apples to apples. And Ian right now, it's tied for well, for this year, it is the strongest hurricane for this year. And the last time that we saw one like this was exactly a year ago with Hurricane Sam. But Hurricane Sam, there was no damage, no fatalities. But this one, no. This one, there is. We're going to have to wait a few days to see the full outcome of that. Anyway, and I think I've shown you guys, well, maybe some of you missed it. I have a Wildfires Tracker. And all these ones that are in dark red, this means that they are the largest or deadliest wildfires in that location's history. So New Mexico saw its largest wildfire of all time this year. The Calf Canyon Hermit's Peak wildfire. Don't worry, you don't need to read these. Just look at the red. Look at the dark red. Starting in about 2004, but especially 2018 till now. If you just look at 2018 till now, Nevada, British Columbia, Washington, Colorado, California, Colorado again, as far as like buildings, I think it's for, most destructive. Yeah. So buildings destroyed. Colorado within the last several years has had the largest wildfire of all time and the most destructive of all time. Russia as a country, and then New Mexico. And I don't have this completely filled out. I'm just at the beginning of like doing this spreadsheet, and you can see, we're in trouble. When it comes to these wildfires, we are in trouble. We are in that time. Okay. So, anyway, there's a whole bunch more things, but that's not the point of this video. I'll close out of that. Phil and Malia waits. I'm so grateful for the things you share because you have brought so much peace to my heart. Oh, good. That's good. There was part of me that was fearful of the last days, but I realize I won't need that fear, only faith. Yeah. I don't want to like take credit for that. Just look to what they say in General Conference. It's always about peace. How we have a peaceful future to look forward to, a bright future to look forward to, have faith, have hope, so on and so forth. In fact, I just thought of something. Let's do a little exercise. Let's go to the church website, because I feel like I've seen it in a lot of the titles to these talks. Let's see. Let's go to Gospel Library. General Conference. Preaching the gospel of peace. Steady in the storms. Fear not. I better blow this up. Fear not. Believe only. Lift up your heart and rejoice. Then will I make weak things become strong. Covenants with God strengthen, protect, and prepare us for eternal glory. Let's see. To heal the world, power of spiritual momentum. Anyway, there's a lot. Let's look at I want to look at the church magazine, the Liahona. Okay. Anyway, okay, that was not helpful. Anyway, all I can say is that they're saying it a lot. They're saying it a lot. I'll go back to the phrase tracker in just a minute. I haven't forgot about it. Tom Trump, hi from Hurricane, Utah. Yes, you're supposed to pronounce it Hurricane. That's how they say it. Hi from Hurricane, Utah. I wonder if/when temples won't be announced at conference, but through the year via church news. Yeah, well, if they have plans to do it in the thousands, at some point that's got to happen. But I guess we'll just see. Green Tree, they have been comparing the Salt Lake Temple with us a lot. Yep. Who knows if that's not the 5-year warning, Samuel the Lamanite, for us. I actually, let me look at my tracker. I want to say that I actually tracked that one time somewhere. I tracked President Nelson. He has brought up the Salt Lake Temple in every general conference except for like one since he's become president of the church. Prophecy messaging, no. I have too many spreadsheets. I have too many. Let's see. Look at some of these, okay? Let us all press on. Embrace the future with faith. These are names of talks. So this was in October 2020 talk. Embrace the future with faith. Oh, and then two before that, go forward in faith. Yeah. Preaching the gospel peace. Yeah, their message is not fear. Their message is faith. And we've explicitly been told that the saints will be protected mostly. Yes, there will be some trials probably to go through, but you shouldn't stumble on that. Okay. Well, let's just go back to here. Let's go back to the phrase tracker. Okay, historic conference. So look at this right here, this block of red from 2018 to 2020. And then it's been said one time so far in 2022. Historic conference. You go back in time, it has been said other times, 3 times in the year 2000. And of course, it's the new millennium. There was a lot of like millennium talk in the year 2000, in the year 1999. But you go back, it's not like really too common. In fact, you don't even see it before 1970. But all of a sudden, from 2018 up until now, it's just red. So we'll see if anyone's gonna call this one a historic conference. and I'm sure it will be. I really think it will be. Wipe away all tears. That's come to life starting probably in 2015. That's in reference to the millennium and how everything's going to be made right. You know, it comes up sometimes in the past, but like it becomes a big thing starting 2015. Global, that was huge for 2021 and 2020. I think that's important because the church, I feel like it's preparing itself to like really become not just global, but to institute the political kingdom of God. Okay, we know that there were already preparations for that back in the time of Joseph Smith when there was the Council of 50. They drafted a constitution, or at least they tried to. I think that they did. I'm not sure. There was a flag for the kingdom of God. So the church back then, at least, was preparing for the time when the political kingdom of God would actually be installed. And that's something that, you know, once Adam happens, like that's going to be, I guess, the beginning of that process, like the actual beginning of the implementation of it. And so the fact that there's so much global talk, I know that like there's a lot of global talk in the news and stuff like that, but I think that the church is getting ready for that time. And President Nelson has been meeting with lots of world leaders, both political and religious and social. Of the veil, as in on the other side of it, like gathering a scattered Israel on both sides of the veil. You can see that that's huge, right? Ever since 2018. Go back in time, it just kind of dies off. It starts to pick up with maybe President Benson, like it enters a new phase, but then it turns into something else, starting with President Nelson. Millennium. Look at this big gap right here between 2004 and 2020. All of a sudden, millennium that comes back to life in the year 2020. And it's been said one time so far. Let God prevail. That's one of President Nelson's phrases that he's kind of introduced, right? Okay, look at this is this is never been more important or imperative or needed or things like that. And the last few years, big block of red right here, especially in 2021. In 2021, 4 times. You go back in time, there's nothing even close to that. You know, it's said every now and again with big white space in between. 2 times in 1996. 2 in 2006. But then all of a sudden, things apparently have never been more important, imperative, needed, etc. And what's stunning about this one is that that's already been said 3 times this year. And we still have one more conference to go. Last year was the record-breaking year for that, and it was 4 times, and we're already at 3. So I'll definitely be looking for that this next conference. Hear Him. That's huge. Really starting in 2020 with 19 times. You go back in time and it's brought up quite a bit, especially in the 70s and the early 60s. But that's huge right now. Salt Lake Temple. We'll pass that one. Contention. This goes along with becoming a Zion people. I guess this one is pretty common, but there was a big spike in 2021 with 9 times. Because you can't be a Zion people, you can't be of one heart and one mind if there's contention. Zion people. Oops. Oh. What? This thing pops up and then I can't click on over. Let me do that. There we go. Enoch. 7 times in 2020. You go back in time, every now and again, especially in the 70s. Enoch is important because we know that the city of Enoch is going to join itself with the earth again. It's going to come down. So why all of a sudden in 2020 are we talking about Enoch so much? And then once last year and twice already this year. So that's interesting. Of one heart, city of holiness, building up Zion, New Jerusalem. You can see that all those kind of spiked in 2020, falling upon their necks. That has to do with the city of Enoch coming down. Covenant people, 6 times in 2021. You have to go all the way back to 1996 to see that. And that's the only other time. So first place, tied for first with 1996, covenant people, 2021. Let's see. Now this is interesting here. Okay, this is like the opposite. You have suddenly come to his temple and times of the Gentiles. And the last time you hear either one of those phrases is back in 1977. And since that time, no one has used either of those phrases. This should maybe make us pause and think for just a little bit. Because, oh my gosh, I wasn't even showing you guys. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Oh, that was a big screw up. Okay, look at the screen. Dang it. Can I just like rewind time? Suddenly come to his temple, time of the Gentiles. You can see here, big white space going all the way back to 1977. You don't see either one of those phrases since 1977. So it makes you wonder, the times of the Gentiles, is it over? It very well could be. Suddenly come to his temple. Why does that die off starting in 1974? I don't know. The hour is not yet. I'm getting really frustrated. Okay, hour is not yet. You see this? You don't see that since 2004. So maybe the hour is yet now. Anyway, okay, after that frustration, I'm going to go back to this. Gosh dang it. Makes me so freaking mad. Okay. We got Court C4. Hello from Homosassa, Florida. Hello. I hope that you're safe right now. You have a huge hurricane, unprecedented hurricane going through your state right now. I hope that you're okay. Denise Blackmore. I've been to Conference Center to watch music and the spoken word, but I've never seen conference there. Nathan Wengert. Mobile temples like the Tabernacle, by way more fancy. Great way to hasten the work to remote areas far from temples. That would be interesting. A traveling temple, a tabernacle. Bring that back. Okay, SH, he comes as a thief in the night. Agony of agonies, he only comes as a thief for those who don't watch. SH, lots of talk among the Jews in Israel about the coming of the Messiah in the third temple. Yeah, they're talking about that a lot. All you have to do is go to Israel 365 and do some searches there. Like do a search for Mashiach or Messiah. There's a lot of things that they're viewing as signs of the times that a Mashiach is going to come. JE, can't God change his mind? Or do we mortals only have that ability? Don't know what you mean. Phil and Malia waits. I keep having people tell me, quote, it's got to so much worse before Jesus comes. How bad do they want it? Maybe it's not bad enough for them personally. Yeah, I think so. I think it has to do with the idea, like Jeffrey R. Holland said, when he was in the UK, that sometimes we're so close to history that we don't even realize that it's happening. I think that a lot of people are desensitized, and I don't necessarily blame them. Let me go back to my tracker for disasters. Like, look at the wildfires. You know, if you don't put together a tracker like this, you may get some sense that wildfires have been crazy for the last few years. Like, you can get that feeling as you watch the news and kind of hear more and more wildfires. But unless you put it all down on paper like this and you look at it and you have all the data in front of you, it may not hit you as strongly that no, things are not okay and things are actually really, really bad. Just look at these wildfires. All these record-breaking wildfires that have been happening. All this is 2022. It's going to take me a while to like update this chart. But again, going back to just 2018, you've had all these places that have had record-breaking wildfires. I can't wait till I have this thing just like really filled out. Earthquakes. Yeah. I'm gonna have to wait till it's more filled out. Anyway, let's see. SH, also 5 red heifers arrived. Their prophecy. Yeah, I did that video about that. We covered that. And if the plan is for the Jews to build their temple again, the third temple, then that's huge. It's huge anyway because it's getting them more excited for the Messiah to come, right? If the BYU Jerusalem Center is that temple, then that doesn't really matter. So, well, no, maybe it does, because we know that sacrifices are going to be done again, and maybe they would still be required to have the red heifers to do that, regardless of whether the BYU Jerusalem Center or the third temple is that temple where the sacrifices are done. So yeah, that may still be important. Betty Horn is here. She is safe. She's right down there in Florida. She says, I have missed some, but I am here and safe. No power, but we have food and water here in Bradenton, Florida. I'm glad to hear that, Betty. I've been thinking about you this whole time. Josh, you probably already mentioned this, but a historic hurricane happening conference weekend must be a sign. I have not mentioned that, but that's a good point. It really could be. There's been a lot of things pointing to Rosh Hashanah, which you could also say is pointing to this conference weekend, because this is the closest conference to Rosh Hashanah. But yeah, historic as conference is about to happen. Joseph Peterson, do you think Adam will have some people physically there, but the rest of the people throughout the world will be there in vision? That's a good question. I don't know. I could see a scenario where you have a lot of people that are there in person, and then others that are in like stake centers, just the same way that they did the dedications for the Palmyra temple and the Nauvoo temple. I have to wonder if maybe that wasn't some kind of like test to kind of see if that method would work out for Adam. Don't know. Have no idea how it's going to happen. There's also Bruce R. McConkie, who in Millennial Messiah said that Christ will likely go to the different continents and have personal visits among large congregations. So that was his idea. I don't know. Agony of Agonies, at JE, God is unchangeable, but he does have, the greatest cause. I used to live in Fort Myers, Florida. My old house is completely flooded. I was there for Katrina and Charlie. Oh, geez. Clayton Ashcraft. The forecast was definitely bad. I follow weather a lot. Trevor Stevens, I'm thinking 2030 Shemitah and Jubilee makes a lot of sense. 2030 Great Reset is the opposition's poor replica of Christ's second coming. Yeah, it is interesting. It is, yeah, that's a very interesting time. 2030 in the Shemitah, that's the year before it. Something important has to happen by that time. Clayton Ashcraft, there's only been one hurricane to hit this year, and it's really late in the season. Definitely been a slower year. Yeah, I have noticed that. Let me go to my hurricanes thing. So here I have my tracker of hurricanes, and you can see here like a big year for hurricanes total, if you add tropical depressions and tropical storms, was 2014. In terms of strong storms, interestingly, 2018, when President Nelson became prophet, there were 4 Category 5s. The only other time that that's happened during this century was back in 2005. But this time right here, it was like really strong. Well, there were some like really strong storms, some Category 5s. 2015 had the most Category 4s at 10. So yeah, it's been, yeah, you're right. It's been kind of a slower or like a less active year in terms of these types of storms. At least here in the United States, because this graph is the hurricanes that affect the United States and the Americas. Let's see. And yeah, right now, okay, so today is the 29th. If you look back last year, there was a storm, a tropical storm Victor, on the 29th. And after that, there was only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more storms. And being that this year is less active, there's probably only a few more that are even going to happen. So anyway, interesting. Okay. Okay, we got a super chat. And thank you so much. You guys don't have to do that, by the way, but thank you, Tyson Price. He says, I'm doing my service of the day for today. I feel you need this more than me. Thank you. I appreciate that. It helps. It does. Thank you so much. Twin Angels, every conference is juicy and amazing, folks. That's true, but some are more juicy and amazing than others, especially the April 2020 General Conference. We'll see what happens this time. Sim Hall, I love studying about the second coming, but sometimes I feel like I can obsess over it. It's important for me to stay level-headed and listen to the prophet and the apostles. Yes, I agree. You should always stay level-headed. And whatever your beliefs are about the second coming, you want to make sure that you can actually tie it down to authoritative sources. I feel like there's too many times that people, they start to study it for themselves and then they get a picture in their mind of how things are going to be. And then they stick with that rather than taking the individual components, the individual prophecies and things like that, and tying it down to authoritative sources. The authoritative sources being the prophets, apostles, general authorities. Because I've said this a million times on the channel. Yes, we should study the scriptures, but when it comes to prophecy that's been written in the scriptures, that's not for you and me to declare if it's been fulfilled. That's up to the prophet and the apostles, right? There's a lot of people that really like to kind of like authoritatively declare things in the scriptures and be like, oh, this is what this means and this is what that means. And like I've said a million times, it's that kind of mentality and attitude that creates many different churches and many different denominations. And that's why having a prophet is one of the big benefits of our church. And so that's what I try and do on this channel, is stick to what have the general authorities officially said about different topics. And that's really how you should do it. And no, you shouldn't stress out over it. If you're living righteously, this is a good thing. We're in a very good time right now for us. For the wicked, not so much. But we have everything to hope for and look forward to as we get closer to that day. Nathaniel Cahoon, we are in the last days when you have too many spreadsheets to keep track of the signs. Let's see. Agony of Agonies. I'm gonna have to skip down, you guys. Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably end it about here. Sorry, I have some other things I got to get done today. I actually have to go do some stuff with the homestead. But we're taking down our electric fence because we're not going to use it anymore. We're going to just put like a fence around the garden, like either welded wire, maybe welded wire at first. Maybe later we'll have more of a permanent fence, but we're just going to do that to keep the cows out. And now the chickens are in a different area. So we need to go like take the electric fence down. And I have to study for tomorrow's video with Mindy. Anyway, I'm sorry for that big mess up, you guys, when I was going through the spreadsheet, when I was going through the phrase tracker. But as you may or may not know, depending on how new you are to the channel, this is available to you. This is on my Google Drive, so it's in the cloud. And there's a link for it in the description of each video. So you click on the link, it'll take you to this spreadsheet, and then you can look through everything that I've put together. And the way that I was able to do all these phrases and words is using the scripture citation index. This is a very powerful tool. You can do many things. You can see how many times different general authorities have quoted scripture, like Leviticus chapter 9, verse 18. Okay. It was President Nelson. It just so happens. President Nelson, at the time, Elder Nelson, quoted Leviticus 9, verse 18 in 1996 in a talk called The Atonement. And then you can click on this and it'll take you there. And it says the sacrifice of animals' life by the shedding of its blood. That's crazy because we were just talking about animal sacrifice. You guys, that's crazy that just happened. Okay, anyway, the scripture citation index, you can look that up. You can search speakers, individual speakers, or you can search for general conference talks from present all the way back to 1942. You can search specific words, phrases. That's what I did. I tallied it all up. I put it on this spreadsheet right here, and there you go. And it's been very, very telling, by the way. Look at this, repent. You go back here in the 80s and 90s, it's just kind of like pink. And then all of a sudden it gets into just dark red territory starting in 2006 and onwards. Repent. Sorry, I just want to look at a few more things. This one's interesting right here. Samuel the Lamanite. Okay, in 2021, he was brought up 3 times. Not to say that necessarily means anything, but if they're wanting us to think about, hey, do you remember the story of Samuel the Lamanite? Do you remember how he gave a 5-year warning? So that's maybe something to think about, especially when you go back in time. He's not really brought up that often, except maybe kind of the 60s and the 50s. But up here 3 times in 2021, that's a record. That's a record-breaking year. Comes again. Look at this. Before 2008, it's just like every now and then, except for in the 70s. So in the 70s and then the last few years, comes again in reference to Christ coming again. So if you haven't already, go check out my spreadsheet. Go look at it for yourself. Make your own. You will not be disappointed. I can promise you that. Oh, sorry. This is another one of the big ones. Rising generation. I've done a lot of videos about the rising generation where different prophets have made explicit comments about the current generation, which would include probably the younger baby boomers, Generation X, Y, and Z. In Generation Y, they're also known as the millennials. But starting in 2006, wow, the rising generation, that idea takes off. You go back in time, not so much. Not so much at all. Okay, well, that's going to be it for this one. Again, if you'd like to join me after the conference sessions, feel free to hop on here. I'll be here. Take notes to share in the chat, and we'll be talking about everything that we see and hear. And I think it's going to be exciting. I really do.